In 2018, Florida dairy farmers and the Dairy Council of Florida worked diligently on your behalf to keep milk on the minds and menus of the state's 20 million residents. Navigating the ever-changing landscape of consumer preference, your checkoff team identified and targeted key influencers and meal shapers to drive milk sales, build consumer trust, and highlight the great things dairy farmers are doing on their farms and in their communities. Communicating with consumers directly is the best way to combat misinformation, build trust in dairy, and drive sales. The growth of our social media channels alone has made tremendous improvement on how effectively we connect and engage with consumers on your behalf. In major Florida markets, FDF leveraged the national campaign Undeniably Dairy, aimed at boosting sales of milk, cheese, butter, and yogurt. The program is in its second year, and through the use of social media messaging, on-air television appearances, and on-farm events, has achieved more than 4 billion impressions. The National Farmers Day online rally is one example that saw the dairy community unite to celebrate dairy farmers and encourage consumers to connect to what's real. The rally generated more than 11 million social impressions and saw participation from more than 100 industry-related companies. The Southern Women's Show in Jacksonville and Orlando allowed FDF to reach more than 45,000 consumers and feature Chef Warren Caterson, who demonstrated several dairy-rich recipes and shared his love of dairy with the crowd. FDF also partnered with the Miami Children's Museum to connect with more than 400,000 consumers who visit the museum each year. The hottest new attraction in 2018 was a visit by the Milkable Cow, which brought a farm experience to kids in the city. Representing almost a quarter of Florida's population, the Hispanic community is growing, and we want to grow with them. FDF talked to Hispanic consumers through a combination of traditional media, social media, and grassroots events, and reminded them to drink leche and eat queso and yogurt. Altogether, this outreach included 65 media appearances on television and radio, resulting in 31 million impressions. Dairy was also on display at the world's most celebrated food event, the Food Network and cooking channel South Beach Wine and Food Festival. Dairy was a main course for culinary royalty from around the globe and more than 65,000 guests. Throughout the year, FDF made impressions at many of the state's biggest fairs. Sponsored attractions like maternity tents made sure dairy messaging was seen by more than 1 million consumers. FDF also connected with consumers at events like the Strawberry Festival and the Miami Book Fair, where kids and parents took home dairy-themed storybooks. Your checkoff investment also supported countless grassroots events and clubs across the state, including farm tours, 4-H groups, and Ag Venture Days. And recently, FDF invested in a second mobile dairy education unit to give more kids an experience with farming that they'll never forget. Over the past year, many of the state's dairy farmers contributed their time and effort to participate in industry and community events that show consumers the positive face of dairy. In February, an unquestioned dairy legend received one of the state's most prestigious honors. Don Bennink of North Florida Holsteins was inducted into the Florida Ag Hall of Fame, solidifying his place in dairy history. A true leader, Don makes a point to share his knowledge with fellow dairy farmers and students across Florida and around the globe. A popular foodie podcast called Primetime Kitchen featured a segment with Suwannee County dairy farmer Ed Henderson, who shared his insight with hungry consumers about how dairy farms provide the milk they love. The podcast aired to a national audience online. M&B Products and the McClellan family hosted its annual barbecue fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club of Temple Terrace and shared dairy products, including ice cream, with more than 1,000 consumers. M&B also provided milk for the University of Florida Dairy Unit as it opened its doors to the public for the annual Family Day at the Farm. More than 1,500 consumers toured the dairy, learned how milk is produced, and finished the day with ice-cold milk. Courtney Campbell of Nickerson Bar 3 Dairy in Hardee County was named Southeast Milk's Outstanding Young Dairy Leader. Courtney and her husband Dusty represent SMI at National Milk Producers Federation's Young Cooperator events. Hardee County dairy farmer Kevin Moore joined farmers from across the country on the streets of New York City's Times Square to remind consumers about the joy of dairy on National Farmers Day. The group got coverage on the Today Show, and that exposure, combined with undeniably dairy multimedia campaigns, netted more than 215 million consumer impressions. Your youth wellness team strengthened its connection to Florida schools in 2018 with programs designed to increase milk consumption and create a new generation of milk drinkers. Last year, 43 schools across 12 counties were optimized with equipment to streamline milk sales, which resulted in a 3% increase in average daily breakfast participation. A national partnership with the NFL called Fuel Up to Play 60 plays a major role in our schools and also focuses on increasing breakfast participation. The program has driven a cumulative milk increase in schools of 1.2 billion pounds nationally since its inception in 2010. For the first time, a player from each Florida NFL team visited a dairy farm and shared their experience with hundreds of thousands of consumers through social media. Cameron Wake of the Miami Dolphins visited Milking Our Dairy in Okeechobee County. Ali Marpet of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visited Nickerson Cattle Company in Hardee County. And Barry Church of the Jacksonville Jaguars visited Full Circle Dairy in Madison County. The Hometown Grants program returned in 2018 to support nutrition initiatives in deserving schools. This year, 3 schools were selected to receive a $10,000 grant from the NFL to promote healthy lifestyles to their students. The funding paid for new cafeteria equipment, including open-air milk coolers and a cafeteria makeover, as well as Nike shoes for needy students. To reinforce the importance of breakfast to students, the Youth Wellness Team continued its Gridiron Breakfast Challenge in 2018. These dairy-focused cooking competitions took place at NFL facilities in Miami, Tampa, and Jacksonville, and featured the dairy-rich creations of student chefs from across the state. A host of dairy farmers took part in the events as special judges, including Courtney Campbell from Hardee County, LINDSEY RUCKS from Okeechobee County, and Megan Austin from Jackson County. Florida students also represented the Fuel Up program on a national stage at the 2018 Student Ambassador Summit in Atlanta. 4 outstanding students took part in the 9th annual summit that allowed the students to meet with dairy farmers and professional athletes and learn to share their message with other students. A new collaboration between the Dairy Council of Florida and Crawford Entertainment added dairy to a popular Florida-produced TV show called The Outsiders Club. The shows aired in major markets across the state and followed kids as they explored the outdoors and learned about healthy eating. 10 dairy-focused segments were filmed at M&B Dairy in Citrus County to drive home the importance of milk in a healthy diet. Several other initiatives continued in 2018, including a partnership with Girls on the Run, which reached more than 1,000 elementary school-aged girls, as well as a partnership with the Jacksonville Jaguars youth football experience that brought football drills and Fuel Up messaging to schools across North Florida. Americans are paying close attention to their personal health, which is why collaboration with healthcare professionals is more important than ever to protect dairy's place on the table. Gaining the trust of thousands of health professionals allows FDF to position and share your wholesome products with this key group of thought leaders. In 2018, FDF increased its focus on this area and reinforced dairy's importance to more health professionals than ever before. Your Nutrition Affairs team participated in conferences and events across the state, sharing dairy science with more than 75,000 professionals in the health and nutrition community. Attendees included more than 10,000 dentists, 3,000 physicians, 700 pediatricians, and 1,000 registered dietitians in 15 different medical specialty areas. FDF and its partners also carried the message of milk and other dairy products to the annual meetings of the Florida Dental Association, Florida Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Florida Pediatrics Association, and the Florida Medical Association. A staple of success, the Florida Dairy Farmers High School Sports Awards program is the most comprehensive of its kind in the country, and once again brought images of dairy farmers, student athletes, and milk to countless newspapers and television screens. FDF also recognized excellence in the classroom for the second year with the Florida Dairy Farmers Academic All-State Team. These student athletes are the very best of their class in both academics and athletics and help make milk synonymous with success. FDF leveraged its relationship in 2018 with the University of Florida Gators to make sure dairy was visible to the millions of fans who follow the Gators on social media and attend sporting events. During football season, FDF continued its highly successful Move of the Game campaign at every home game, directly reaching more than 500,000 people over the season. And the popular Breakfast with the Coach contest continued to attract scores of young milk drinkers. Courtney Campbell of Highlands County delivered the game ball in front of more than 90,000 fans in the swamp before the homecoming football game. Fans also saw dairy farmers at a variety of events, including Gilchrist County dairy farmer Jan Henderson, who presented the game ball at a Gator home basketball game, and Sam Jakonich, son of Alliance Dairy's veterinarian Adam Jakonich, who threw out the first pitch in the final regular season home game of 2018. Protecting dairy's position as the beverage of choice for athletes is crucial because it's a highly sought-after market for milk alternatives. That's why FDF literally put milk in the hands of thousands of runners at numerous marathons in 2018. Your Built with Chocolate Milk team promoted the great taste and recovery benefits of chocolate milk to consumers statewide at events like the Gate River Run in Jacksonville, the OUC Orlando Half Marathon, the Space Coast Marathon, and the Publix Fort Lauderdale A1A Marathon, in total reaching more than 100,000 runners and many more spectators. Your promotion team at Florida Dairy Farmers is committed, now more than ever, to maximizing your investment to drive sales and grow consumer confidence in dairy. We will remain vigilant in protecting your image and helping share your family's story with the millions of families that enjoy milk each day. Thank you, dairy farmers, for allowing us to promote you and your products across the Sunshine State.